I've been racking my brain really, really hard, so I'm going to ask you guys, the audience, is there anyone out there that can tell me what Goosebumps book involves lizard aliens with giant bug eyes and freeze rays? Because I can't remember for the life of me. Hello and welcome back to another Midnight Showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Goosebumps. Yeah, they gave me a poster and everything. Woo! Okay, so for a non-spoiler version, this movie wasn't bad at all. In fact, it was rather enjoyable. It wasn't particularly funny or action-packed or at all scary. It was at best thrilling for some kid moments, but yeah, as far as films go, it's completely 100% harmless, and there were parts of it that got me giggling, and it was really nice to see all of these other book creations just get thrown in there, even if they didn't get the limelight. So yeah, my final recommendation for those who don't want any spoilers is go see it, but at a matinee price, and with an asterisk. You might want to wait a week or two on this one, because first showing was packed, and I mean packed, mostly with kids. And you can imagine how that theater situation goes. So I would just recommend waiting a week or two, letting the crowds die down a little, because it's gonna be pretty busy. Really, really busy. But yeah, if you can get into a matinee, or if you have a ticket for a cheap theater, go see it. It's worth it. You're gonna find yourself laughing and giggling, especially when they start making fun of Stephen King. Boom! Okay, so going into the spoilers, let's actually talk about some of the plot inside of this film. So, you're probably asking yourself, how do you make a Goosebumps movie? Well, new guy moves into town right next door to R.L. Stine, hiding from the public because his creations literally have leapt off the pages. He's managed to lock them all inside of their individual stories, but this kid and R.L. Stine's daughter and some random kid who is just so forced into this role. I mean, seriously, you could remove him. Just remove him and nothing would change. But they end up accidentally opening one of the books, The Snowman of Pasadena. While they're chasing him down, another book gets open to our antagonist. By far the best and most entertaining character in this film. Slappy. Yes, that Child's Play ripoff. And before someone says, what are you talking about? It's not Child's Play, right? The Slappy books were made in the late 80s. If I remember right, Child's Play came out in like 81. I'm sorry. It's clearly a ripoff, or at least an inspiration. But he's also voiced by Jack Black, and kind of doing a dual performance thing with himself. But he was the best. His jokes actually were kind of funny, and yeah, I mean, just remembering back to the old Goosebumps TV show, the Slappy episodes of Night of the Living Dummies were awesome. They really were, especially when you can tell that they switched out the dummy for like a really, really bad short actor. I would say vertically challenged, but that doesn't seem sensitive enough in our politically correct world. So, yeah, Slappy ends up taking all of the other books and just literally throwing them open in random spots inside of the town to just bring things chaos. So, everyone gets together and they have to come up with a plan of getting all of the monsters back into their books. They basically come up with a plan that they only need to write one book that sucks in all of the monsters. And that's basically the whole plot of the movie, is just trying to get that book written while defending yourself against all of these really, really, really cheap horror knockoffs. You have the ghouls, you've got the snowman, you've got the werewolf. Who else was main focus villain inside of there? Slappy was funny. Those weird alien lizard things with the freeze ray. Seriously, I can't remember what book they're from. Can someone please tell me this? Because I don't remember any of these books having those things. I mean, I remember the freaking dinosaur head ones that pretended to be people. I remember the Tower of Terror, which is my personal favorite of all of the Goosebumps books. I remember all of the Haunted Max, the Haunted Car, the Say Cheese and Die. Those ones were really good, by the way. I love the Say Cheese and Dies. But it's... yeah, I can't remember any freeze ray aliens. The Mantis, they even do the Blob at the very, very end, which I was really glad that they kind of saved that one for the end, because you just like thinking through all of the books, and you're like, yeah, if that monster got loose, what would they really do? And then it's like, oh yeah, this one, shit. And going into the good aspects, Jack Black looks nothing like R.L. Stine, but the way that he was playing him, it was just so entertaining, almost fascinating. This borders on that bad performance, but that it's so fascinating that you can't quite call it bad, but you're not sure if you should call it good. It was entertaining, and his jokes actually did stick, unlike a lot of the humor in this movie, which was just really childish, especially for someone like me. Don't get me wrong, I'm very nostalgic towards Goosebumps, but I'm not exactly on board with 90% of these jokes. They never felt like they had a full-on punchline. They felt like this one-off, say something gag, and just like, yeah, but Jack Black, he was probably the best character inside this next to Slappy. And I think that probably because he does have those mentalities just of a writer. Whether or not it's actually R.L. Stine, that's up for debate. But the actual feelings of a writer himself, I mean, when he starts being compared to Stephen King in a negative connotation, that he's not nearly as good, he literally stops the car and just turns and screams in this kid's face about how he sold way more books than that overzealous piece of things that I write are better than. It's just like, oh my god. I could totally see him doing this. I really could. And that's the way that the whole movie is basically performed by Jack Black, is that he never does anything that really counts as unbelievable. He's a very relatable character, and although his mannerisms could get annoying at times, it was rather nice to do some of the stuff that he did. And by far the best character, as I said, was Slappy, who was just hamming the hell out of this, which was perfect for it. I mean, he's over here just driving the haunted car, tossing books like Molotov cocktails out the freaking windows into all of these buildings, and you just like see them explode inside, and people are running away from monsters, getting shot with freeze rays, getting eaten by this man-eating plant thing. I mean, it's a very, very, very violent PG movie. I will give it credit for that. It's very hammy, but yeah, they make it a point that nobody actually died at the end of the movie. Especially even some of the ones that really couldn't have survived, like the frozen people or the freaking, whatchamacallit, people eaten by that giant mantis. Yeah, they're still alive. Yay. But yeah, the actual monster attacks are nice and gruesome, and Slappy is just sitting here dropping one-liners. He's like, sorry, I'd slow down, but I can't reach the pedals. The doll is very creepy, and they actually used a doll. For a lot of Slappy's parts, it actually is quite clearly a ventriloquist puppet. And that they're just matching the lips with what Jack Black's saying. I mean, thank you. They didn't go the whole turn everything into a CGI crap. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did that for a lot of the movie, and the werewolf looks the worst. I mean, really, really bad on the werewolf. I didn't believe for a second that he was ever on screen where they said he was. I mean, there's a part inside the freaking grocery store that you've probably seen parts for in the trailer and whatnot, that he's just like skulking around, like looking for them and whatnot. It's just, no. He's not there. It's quite clear they took like a still frame picture of this section, and they just CGI'd him walking across it. I mean, it's really, really bad. it, oh god, that werewolf. Everything else has a good, unique look to it, and by far the best CGI was with the gnomes. Oh my god, these gnomes were awesome. I mean, think gremlins if they were freaking lawn ornaments. They were just all over the place. They're just like smashing them all over. They're throwing them in ovens to melt them. They're like shoving them down to garbage disposals. And there's when they first introduced the gnomes, they all look like they are actual gnomes, and then you just like move small little pieces of them. Like they're just like sitting here there, and you actually hear them crack their neck and break, and then like reseal themselves. You like see the little pieces, like their eyebrows when they get angry, like shift downward and break off of where they were, and then like reseal and fit and repaint the section. I mean, it looks like they were actually gnomes that they were moving around. Granted, when they actually, moved around as a collective, that's when it kind of started to look really, really fakeish. But when they're just like zoomed up close, moving them individually, it looks awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it was probably some of the best CGI I've seen in kids' films in a little while. When they're just doing those small movements. And it's just fun. The whole movie is fun. Even when the CGI was at its worst with that stupid werewolf, the movie was still fun. I can honestly say that the movie was just a start to finish ride of enjoyment. I was smiling the entire time. Except for one character. Going into the bad, Champ has no point in this movie. He's played by some bucktooth guy. I think I saw him inside of Super 8, but I didn't really care for that movie, so I might be wrong. But yeah, that kid had no point being in this film whatsoever. He meets the main character kid from the Alexander Great Horrible Day that I didn't see last year. He meets the main character there at school one day and gives him his contact information. Creepy. And then when shit goes wrong and he decides to break into R.L. Stein's house, he calls him to be a lookout. Why? You can be in and out of that house long before before they even get into there. And before he gets back from the freaking police station. I mean, seriously, it is a small town, but yeah, it's a 5-minute trip to go into the second story thing and come back out unscathed. But yeah, Champ is kind of just that comedic guy. He's always spouting off the quote unquote funny lines. Yeah, they're not that funny. In fact, as I said, a lot of them feel like they don't have a punchline. The most notable of which is after the group all gets together and driving to town, seeing the mass destruction that all of these Goosebumps monsters have caused. And then he's like, no, 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 Dad, Dad, Dad. Oh, wait, sorry. Not my dad. False alarm, false alarm. And he just walks away. It's just like, really? That's it? The kids were laughing at that. All of the kids in the theater were laughing at that. I'm just... Okay. There's several times when Jack Black has to scream shut up in response to something that he's doing or saying. And it's just like... Okay, this is mildly amusing. I'm still waiting for the punchline. He has no point in this movie. He does really nothing in this entire film. And I don't like him at all. He was just as annoying as I'm trying to make him sound. Probably even more so. I'm not trying to diss the movie at all or anything like that. I'm just saying that this one part bugged the shit out of me, and just remove him from the movie. You don't need him in this movie, and that's fine. And as I said, the CGI can get really, really bad. There's another moment with the praying mantis when he's like ripping a guy out of the school. This bully who's making fun of everything. Yeah, it looked fake as shit, and it was kind of distracting. And overall, as I said, the movie's not scary, yet it keeps trying to flaunt Goosebumps like it is supposed to be scary. No, that's not why we liked Goosebumps. They're silly. They have some thrill edge, and they do introduce us to a lot of the concepts and monsters that we tend to see in much better films and books. But they're not scary. You're kind of missing the point of Goosebumps. And the biggest problem, in my opinion, is probably the fact that Goosebumps is really just superfluous to this entire story. You can do this entire story with any book series. Hell, you want an adult version of this? Transplant Goosebumps with Stephen King. Yeah, just pull out all of his stuff, like the Langoliers, and oh my god, how awesome would it be to have Tim Curry being chasing this group of people with Stephen King around? That would just be awesome. It'll never happen. But, yeah, you want an adult version of this? Just transplant it with Stephen King. And you got an adult version of this. Hell, you could have made up an entire book series about this and just had the characters explain some of these stories and cool little flashback sequences. Maybe even have them like animated when they're telling the abridged version of these stories, and it probably would have worked just as well, if not better. I mean, I remember hearing about an anime that had a premise that was almost exactly like this movie. That's from like the late 80s or the early 90s, where a bunch of where the writer ends up going into a book series and on his way out accidentally lets out a bunch of his characters, and the big bad guy of the book wants to become real, and the only way to do that is to kill the writer so he can never put him back in the book. Hell, wasn't there another one of these that was very similar called Inkheart back in like 2006? Yeah, the whole Goosebumps thing is just so transplanted on there that haphazardly that they didn't really do anything that was unique that Goosebumps could have done versus everything else, except for maybe Slappy, because I honestly don't think that even Chucky could do as good as Slappy inside of this movie. I'm just saying. But overall, the movie was good, and it had a really great attention to detail. There's a really cool lineup shot when they finally release all of the monsters from the books, and they show just have this big old line in this field as they're about to attack the barricade where everyone else is, and if you just pause the movie right there, you will be able to do. I've read that one. I've read that one. I read that one. I know that one. I think, yes, that's the one I think I know. And yeah, it's just a bundle of fun. Overall, I give the movie, go see it with an asterisk. See it at a cheap time. Go to a matinee. Go to a cheap theater. If you have a free ticket or something, absolutely, it won't waste your time doing it. Just don't go see it at full price. It's not worth it. And don't pay for 3D. God, that was pointless. Ugh. It has that stupid, we're 3D moments all over the place. And no, if you're going to go see something in 3D, go see The Martian, go see The Walk, go see Everest. There's so many better 3D movies out right now. But yeah. That's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Goosebumps? Tell me what you thought about the movie in the comments below, along with your favorite Goosebumps book, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going about these. But seriously, if you can tell me where those freaking freeze-ray aliens came from, I would be much appreciative, because they were bugging the shit out of me. I can't think of what Goosebumps book they're from, and if they are even in a Goosebumps book. But yeah. If you did like what you saw, be sure to check out the channel and subscribe for more. I'll have links up here. And if you want to see some of my more recent videos, I'll have links right down here. And yeah, I guess I'll see you all next time.